Bad Movie Beatdown. Today we're going to review a movie from the grandfather of zombie movies, George A. Romero's Diary of the Dead. Now, George A. Romero surely needs no introduction. His classics have earned a legendary cult following, including the original and highly influential Night of the Living Dead from 1968. Its sequel, 1978's Dawn of the Dead, also has a strong following of fans and critics alike. Whilst their low-budget gore and poor acting may not stand up as well today, their biting satire keeps them relevant, and the characters are far better developed and considerably more likeable than many in the slew of shite these films have inspired. His luck outside of zombies has varied from effective vampire movie Martin to dismal thriller Bruiser. He made a return to zombies in 2005 with Land of the Dead, heralded by many critics as a comeback. Now believing zombies to be his only niche, he made another in 2007 to cash in on the POV horror trend with Diary of the Dead, popularised by the likes of Wreck, The Zombie Diaries and Cloverfield around the same time. Is his mojo back? No, unfortunately. It's not visible here. In fact, it couldn't be any further away. The film begins, already in perspective, at the site of a double murder at a housing estate. It is filmed by a television cameraman preparing to shoot a news story on the incident. So we're introduced to our protagonist Deborah in narration.
We downloaded this video off the net. It was secretly uploaded by the cameraman who shot it. It was his way of trying to tell the truth.
We've only just started and already there's contradictions. Is this a POV movie or not, since we already know that she survives? Unfortunately, judging by that narration. So the bodies start getting up and attacking the police, with the cameraman capturing it all on film.
This can't happen.
Apparently, it never occurred to the reporter or the cameraman to stop watching zombies eat people and run away! We cut away and already start being fed the message.
We downloaded a lot of what we found on television and on the net over those first 3 days. Most of it was bullshit.
I'm old enough to remember Orson Welles' War of the Worlds, possibly the greatest hoax ever perpetrated. Now it's 24/7.
Yep, Romero's going to be passing comment on the media and how it's all bullshit and you can't trust anyone. Much like how your grandfather impotently moans at the television. So thus starts the film's fake documentary style, a posthumous project by her late boyfriend Jason called The Death of Death. The Death of Death? Seriously? That's a title a 6-year-old would come up with.
I did the final cut on Jason's laptop. I've added music occasionally for effect, hoping to scare you.
Why the hell would you put music for dramatic effect on a tragic event where your friends died? I think it would be horrific enough without music to scare the audience. And why would a documentary filmmaker interested in telling the truth put in this artifice? It's one of the first of many signs that Romero doesn't understand why or how the POV camera approach can be effective.
In addition to trying to tell you the truth, I am hoping to scare you. Maybe you won't make any of the same mistakes that we made.
I'm sure one of them is to not stand around filming things instead of acting sensibly and getting the hell out of there. We cut to a night scene in perspective as some university students are filming a mummy horror movie for their project. They cut but keep the camera rolling for no specific reason, as director Jason has a word.
Dead things don't move fast. You're a corpse, for Christ's sakes. If you run that fast, your ankles are gonna snap off. All you're supposed to do is grab her dress, so
my tits fall out? Ain't gonna happen.
Not only is Romero going meta by drawing attention to horror film tropes, but he included a nice little snipe towards modern horror's fast zombies like a bitter old man. So we're introduced to the rest of our douchebag characters, as they are all thoroughly unlikable and argumentative all the time, which makes it hard to feel for any of them when they're so cynical. Among them is an English Etonian and eternally drunk film professor, Andrew Maxwell, who is easily the best character in the movie, as he's the only one I want to survive because he's doing such a hilarious Richard Burton impression.
Mr. Creed has a vision.
Stupid fucking mummy movie.
With an underlying thread of social satire.
We get it, George! You're ironically calling attention to your own artifice, but if it's all fake, why should we care? So they hear about the news of mass rioting and cannibalism and the dead returning to life on the radio, and decide it's best to call it a night and flee the city. They return to their dorms to find that everyone has already fled, despite the news only happening a few hours ago. It looks like the zombies attacked months, not hours ago!
What's the guy with the video camera doing in the women's dorm, huh?
Security!
Yes, there are looters already here, by the way, despite the breakdown of society only being a few hours old. There's something about the hammed-up acting, overt aggression and one-dimensional characterization, and the tendency of characters to look directly into the lens instead of the character they're addressing that lends this movie the look and feel of an upmarket FMV game from the 90s, continually hitting bum notes.
You suck.
Jump scare! A common technique found in many documentaries. He meets Deborah, who is annoyed at him for shooting absolutely everything, understandably so. She is unable to contact her family and is distraught, frightened for their safety. They decide to flee the campus and head home. We then get the first of the film's cutaway recaps to drip feed the audience the message in case they don't have the half brain required to understand it.
I think that's what started the panic, not knowing the truth.
People panic when they're scared? No shit, Sherlock! I mean, for crying out loud, you don't need narration to tell us the bloomin' obvious.
It's funny. You spend so much time resenting your parents, separating yourself.
Speak for yourself, you little bitch! I happen to like my parents, thank you very much! So they hit the road in an RV, and on their way home, Jason the douchebag shoves a camera in their face and gets them to introduce themselves.
If this turns out to be a big thing, I just want to record it. Come on, everybody, when it comes to you, say your name.
Because this isn't in any way forced expository dialogue to ensure these characters aren't just pure cannon fodder. You know what, I might as well get these introductions over and done with in the same way the film does. We know Jason, we know Deborah, Tony is our resident angry young man, Elliot sort of resembles Jay Barchell, Mary drives an RV, and Gordo and Tracy...
We're together.
Forever.
I give them about 20 minutes. Tops.
This is my camera. And I'm from San Antonio. That's in Texas. Don't mess with Texas.
I won't.
And I'm wondering why my boyfriend has a camera plastered to his face.
He does makeup that comes unglued. I wasn't even supposed to do makeup.
No, I was. You know what happens when we try to work together.
It's nice to see his girlfriend, who doesn't even look that concerned now that I think about it, constantly making snide remarks and thinking that he's an idiot. It's a good thing she survives, isn't it? Then again, I'm not very sympathetic towards Jason either, who seems to have made it his intention to continually stick his big nose in when they obviously don't want to be filmed. Now, you might be arguing that the characters are deliberately unlikable as part of Romero's social satire. And we still need characters that we like, especially in a horror movie, because it's not horrifying to see douchebags get torn up. It's just called karma. Also note the blue flashes, which once again draw attention to the fact that it's edited and not happening in real time. Romero doesn't seem to realise that the whole point of the POV camera aspect is that the camera is the eyes of the audience. It makes you feel like you're actually there. That's what makes the damn thing scary. But the riveting backstory dumping has come to an end as a burning car is seen up ahead.
We'll never get past that. Turn around.
Besides the obvious half of the road that isn't blocked, you're exactly right.
It's a cop, state trooper.
How do you know that?
His hat is a stupid-looking hat.
Because the first thing I draw attention to with a man on fire is how stupid his hat looks. Then the camera blacks out due to low battery so the film can engineer a jump scare. Because that's exactly how cameras work. Also, Romero keeps pissing on the POV gimmick by cutting between cameras, switching the different filming styles entirely in a form that simply doesn't work. So after running over the zombies in the road, our characters argue again.
They were already dead, okay? You didn't do anything wrong.
We might have just killed 3 people back there. Or 3 living, breathing people like us.
Shut the fuck up, you douchebag! Not only were they blatantly zombies, but I think she has enough guilt without you calling her a murderer, you twat! So Mary is distraught, having been responsible for killing such human-like creatures. They pull over and Mary sits on her lonesome to think things through. Or not. Who the hell left the distraught girl with a gun? I love how surprised they all are, like that came completely out of nowhere. However, Mary is still alive and they take her to a hospital, which has somehow already magically relieved itself of both the patients and doctors presenting a challenge. It shouldn't look like 28 days later because, well, it's not 28 days later. And again, the camera starts blipping out because that makes it scarier. Also, the low battery signal is on the footage, which is again not how cameras work. Romero blatantly cheats here by having a cut to Gordo firing his gun. What is the point of even having a POV camera gimmick when you keep calling attention to how fake it is through your own shoddy filmmaking? But hey, enough of the conventional deaths, time for something modern. It seems modern is more funny than scary. That was atrocious CGI. And ironically, this is as inventive as the film gets with killing zombies. So with Mary on the verge of death, they decide they need to find her a doctor.
No, leave her here with me.
What, you're not coming with us? Leave it, let it charge.
I can't leave without the camera.
Oh, for goodness sake, I think it's more important to help your friend save someone's life than think about how many YouTube hits you'll get.
I should be with them. Maybe I could help. But I can't, because I'm fucking plugged in.
Oh yeah, maybe now it crosses your mind to help your friends. And he's using the camera whilst it's plugged in, which from my experience, doesn't charge it any. Deborah finds a second camera, allowing Romero to completely give up on the POV concept as he switches between angles like a standard narrative. Bravo! You barely kept to the basic premise for not even 30 minutes. You might as well have shot this whole thing conventionally, but then it would reveal that this has nothing to separate it from hundreds of other zombie movies.
There will always be people like you.
Me? You're the one who put the camera in my hands.
This is a diary of cruelty.
And that speech sums up the film's forced message in a nutshell. Romero, your extremely obvious comments on the Iraq War news coverage would hold a lot more weight if you weren't talking about the living dead. It's not exactly a comparable situation. So they are forced to kill Mary, and the film feels the need to recap its points about survival and war, which further detracts from the POV, if you even care by this point.
Gordo, look out!
Oh look, Gordo got bitten. I'm so surprised their love didn't last forever. So these douchebags stand by filming and not helping at all, while Jay Baruchel impales a zombie like he was made out of Play-Doh. But wait, another cutaway as Romero passes comment on how the internet has made us all zombies, creating a media oversaturation. Personally, I don't know what he's talking about. I mean, I'm just a guy who watches loads of movies and reviews them for the internet. And I have no social life. The following morning, they bury Mary, shoot a newly zombified Gordo, and break down next to a barn. They then discover the coolest character in the movie, a deaf Amish guy, who allows them to use his barn to fix their RV. Check out this barrel of awesome!
Hurry. Why?
Oh shit! Jesus Christ.
That was bloody awesome! They should have made the movie about this guy!
Where did you find this?
It was on the camera Deb found in the hospital.
It's really sad when Romero, who used amazing practical effects in his previous zombie films, uses abysmal CGI gore. Tom Savini is sorely missed. They start fixing the RV only to have their piece shattered as zombies besiege the building, breaking in. They open the door, preparing to drive out, and... No! Not the Amish guy! He was my favourite character, even if he was a little bit pointless. Still, his death was pretty badass, wouldn't you agree? So they drive out with zombies conveniently stepping out of the way.
It's estimated that if something isn't done to stop the slaughter within 3 more days, our death rate will quadruple. Within 10 days, it will have risen by 100%.
That doesn't make sense. If something has quadrupled, it is 400% higher than it was before. I think Romero's getting a bit old. He's forgetting basic math skills. So they get set upon by members of a vigilante group who take them back to their hideout.
How come you stuck around?
Because we got the power. Because everybody else left. All the folks without suntans.
Again, society seems to have crumbled awfully quickly. We're what, 2-3 days into a zombie outbreak and already there's vigilante groups? Somewhat improbable. We then see Romero himself in his cameo as police chief.
This attack was carried out by a bunch of illegal immigrants. The only time they was dead was when my guy shot.
They changed it. They recut it.
Really? The news is recut, so it looks like white people shooting immigrants? What the hell are you even talking about, Romero? Jason then starts editing the footage we've just watched in case you still don't get what message Romero is trying to say. The media is edited and manipulated! What a Lies! And apparently Romero is completely oblivious to the fact this works at cross purposes to what he's supposed to be doing.
When you said you want to get online, I thought you wanted to, like, get in touch with your dad or something.
No, I just wanted to upload our shit. Look, 72,000 hits in 8 minutes.
It's comforting to know that even in times of chaos, the internet will still be running. So remember, even after the world has gone to shit, you can still watch Channel Awesome while sat next to a flaming barrel for warmth. Jason gets a video message from Ridley, the mummy from earlier in the movie, who offers them shelter in his fortress home. Deborah gets a text message from her family revealing that they are, in fact, alive and heading home. They decide to press on. Jason proceeds to get lost in the warehouse corridors, a sequence POV would be perfect for, and that could be suspenseful. Unfortunately, Romero ruins it by cross-cutting with people not doing much of anything, completely deflating any suspense. It turns out a zombie is wandering around the facility and they need to be careful. He strikes and we get this truly ridiculous sequence as Romero cuts back and forth between the two cameras as the event occurs, with the two camera holding dickheads standing by doing fuck all, even blocking his passage. Am I the only one who finds this ludicrous to the point of hilarity? It feels like you're watching behind the scenes footage of the film being shot than POV camera. He kills the zombie by burning its brain out with hydrochloric acid in some truly gratuitous CGI gore. So they soon stock up on weapons and supplies and are on the move, and they watch a video of a disgracefully stereotyped Japanese woman describing her situation.
Very bad here. Very bad, Tokyo. Stove very dead. First shooting head.
Fucking service is going out.
You'd be forgiven for thinking that Romero has never used a computer before, let alone the internet. Yet, more stock footage of cameras is shat on the viewer, with more narration recapping the movie's theme to the zombies in the audience who haven't already fucking got it. At last, they arrive at Deborah's house to find the place deserted. Instead of heading on to their houses, they decide to go in with her. Hooray! Horror movie characters do something intelligent for once! They find the family car in the garage with a smashed window covered in blood, proving they're in or near the house and injured or dead.
I thought long and hard about whether to leave this footage in the film. I decided to show you exactly what happened.
How is this any different to the death of your friends that you've already shown? And clearly you're not that affected by it because you're going to play scary music over it. The zombified boy is killed by Maxwell, who is suddenly extremely proficient with a bow and arrow. They also find Deborah's parents, zombified, who get arrowed by Maxwell. So we get on with the movie, and oh, for God's sake!
By now, we'd become part of it, part of 24/7. We become immune to
Cut the patronising narration, Romero! Surely you of all people should understand the necessary subtlety required. I swear this movie would be an hour long if it wasn't for these.
Hey, where'd you learn how to use that thing?
Eton. Archery squad.
Why, yes, I am the quintessential posh British Pratt. I learned how to wrestle bears and tickle tigers all on the fields of Eton, along with the rest of the posh gits. And to show humanity at its very worst, once again, the National Guard stopped by to rob them of all but their weapons and cameras.
Can I turn that off, son? Now.
And if you want to spend more time with these despicable characters, they're the leads in Survival of the Dead, this film's sequel. Yeah, I wonder why I haven't watched that yet. We then cut away to what the hell? Did we suddenly switch reels with quarantine? What the hell is going on? So these unnamed hazmat troops shoot some zombies, then shoot an elderly couple in revenge for one of their own being killed? Because making more zombies solves everything! It's also clear they didn't even try to make the sequence with the hazmat team look like found footage. Whoever filmed this has a good eye for editing and composition, so top marks to them. They arrive at Ridley's mansion and meet up with him in a stupid jump scare. He's still wearing his mummy costume for some reason, and apparently forgot to lock the front door because he's drunk and stupid. Yep, this is totally a guy I want by my side in the zombie apocalypse. Ridley has a panic room in which they can hide out later, and Jason hands his camera to Tony.
Shit. Come on, guys.
It seems like he's enjoying doing that poorly sure impression. I get the sense that's meant to be creepy, not funny. So he leads them to the CGI swimming pool containing his dead family and servants. They spot blood on his arm, suggesting he'd been bitten. We then cut to security camera footage, an entire sequence of it. He doesn't care anymore. He's turned it into Big Brother with zombies, complete with arrogant douchebag contestants. Actually, now that I think about it, I know where he got this idea from.
As soon as you're set, start rolling on the stairwell. See. Cut to the stairwell.
With Elliot running his bath, the newly zombified Ridley attacks Tracy with Jason back on camera, offering no support whatsoever.
See? I told you dead things move slow!
Yes, that's right, the movie is ironically paralleling the horror movie they were shooting earlier with the tits to boot.
Don't mess with Texas.
It was very nice of Deborah to put on the comedy music to get the full horror of the situation across. This is like something out of a particularly stupid and violent episode of My Name is Earl. It was especially nice of her to do this whilst Tracy takes their motorhome, which potentially dooms them all. I'm sure they all found that very hilarious at the time. Of course, Ridley isn't dead because not only is Tracy an idiot, but everyone else here is, because none of them thought to close the front bloody gate the whole time they were here. So, Elliot's hairdryer in the bath seemingly takes out the power, which is then completely unaffected in the rest of the movie from the very next shot. Romero's got so sloppy in his old age, he's forgetting basic continuity! Jason, like an idiot, objects to going into the safe room because he won't be able to get footage. I say leave Jason outside, since he obviously doesn't care about his girlfriend or even his own life. He also doesn't seem to realise there are security cameras in the panic room. It's not like he's missing anything anyway. So Jason goes off to get himself killed because Romero thinks bloggers would rather die than survive for some reason. Jason gets attacked off camera.
Shoot me.
Again? Seriously? Making cameras a metaphor for guns? I suppose footage can be used as weapons, I guess? Cameras don't kill people, editing does! She shoots him before he can become zombified. I'm sorry, I still don't feel anything for the twat. So Romero blatantly recycles the ending to his own Night of the Living Dead through a cut to Jason's last download, a video featuring a hunting party using zombie bodies as targets.
Are we worth saving? You tell me.
I don't even understand what Romero is trying to say here, that humanity deserves to die because of bloggers and rednecks? It just feels tacked on and unnecessary. Just like this film, in fact. And with that, the credits roll. George A. Romero's Diary of the Dead is a complete mess. First of all, Romero completely screws up the POV camera gimmick. He constantly calls attention to it through editing, using multiple cameras and the intrusive documentary approach. I have a feeling that was Romero's intention, to pass comment on the falsity of media, although I'm not really sure what Romero is actually trying to say here. He touches on so many different topics like race, the war in the Middle East, and humanity's cruelty that it never forms into a coherent message. It's because he doesn't understand the YouTube generation, and it feels constantly like an old man trying to make sense of something which he doesn't understand. Worse still, he patronises the audience like they're stupid, stopping the movie cold to explain the themes to the audience because obviously he doesn't trust our attention span. So that means the end result is a rambling, pretentious bore that has a fatal lack of horror because Romero cares more about the disjointed message than actually making a decent film. The film received surprisingly positive write-ups by critics who clearly love it simply because it's Romero returning to a genre he single-handedly created. But trust me, skip this stain on the franchise along with its sequel. I'll stick with the classics, and so should Romero. I'm Matthew Buck, beating down bad movies everywhere.